Hello, I am Radagast, at your service. And tonight's topic is I had a chat with the ambassador. ... And I made this video. It was really my first in-depth chat. We've had, some chats, but this one went on. We actually got knocked offline 3 times and resumed. So it was kind of it was really my longest time ever spent personally with him, and which is not uncommon for the rest of the team. The rest of the team has a lot more interaction, and I know that, plus he interacts with the rest of the world, and so I ask little of his time, because we spend a lot of time together with the team. So I'm certainly in communication with him, but that one-on-one, that's a nice way of getting to know people. And we had such a nice conversation that when he was done, it's like, you might have a video there. And I get, because a lot of it was human nature, a discussion of human nature as we've both experienced it, and how to take that nature and get a successful formula. It's been very interesting for me because before I joined True Vision of Peace, I had a series of my own videos, and some of those videos discussed the ambassador of the Red Dragon family. I did like a commentary, and then I found myself eventually on the True Vision of Peace team. And so it's been different. I make a lot less what I would call personal videos than our videos, and I've always, when I had my own videos with my complete original content, most, I had people take me to task for different things, but it was just I don't know. I felt it was a lot more playful, even when taken to task. Some people, it was all, I felt it just fine, with the rare occasions. But when we do a True Vision of Peace video, and I put that up on the ModWiz website, the comments are interesting for a humanitarian message. I would say that the perception is that somehow it's not humanitarian, or it's not humanitarian on the there are certain mindsets. A lot of people might have, or I'm quite sure a lot of people have done a lot of work on looking at what their definition of what humanitarian is. Notions like the difference between holding in safekeeping the wealth that will get respent on humanity, as opposed to that's ours. 2 different kinds of camps there, and the it's all ours camp has been fed by cheerleaders like Neil Keenan, maybe even the OPPT, and the Swiss Indo, and the Saint Germain and the Nessara. Basically, what it all seems to speak of is heaps of funds will be available for everybody while they build the high-speed railroads, and all that, as if the engineers are there. And I certainly hope the engineers are there, because a high-speed railroad would be a great thing to get built on this country finally, because there's funding available. Of course, you have the United States government, who might take umbrage at a private citizen, because it would be a private citizen, despite whatever their funding is. It's the private citizen doing it, doing something that would probably be immensely popular, and is privately owned, and isn't owned by their the corporations who've been running business and government. So you can see, so it'd be very, it's very interesting when we hear about somebody's grand plans, not think, without, and these are part of our future plans. Oh yeah, high-speed railroad, all this is happening, and meanwhile those in the United States and in certain other European countries, but certainly in the United States, it's a little bit of a lockdown. And so those things are going to need to be dealt with. Just like the same reason, even if just reasonable funds were directed towards us, whether or not they got taxed to death would probably be the moot point. Whether they ever got to their destination would be the bigger one. The theft that goes on is pretty amazing. So part of the conversation was, again, the perception of being a humanitarian and it not being perceived as such by some people. And then again, it's just that it just seems to be a part of human nature. There's a suspicion. I think it's part of, it's kind of interesting, here we are, the ambassador is talking about bringing forward money, even including some of his own. And there is like, well, how can we take money? We don't even know what he looks like. And meanwhile, we sign car loans and mortgages and all kinds of loans with loan officers that are not loaning us the money, that represent somebody whose face we don't know. And we haven't been able to Google and look at their family history. But we take the loan anyway at interest. So here comes a loan without interest, and everybody, wants to see, a CAT scan, or at least a picture. So I mean, it's really interesting how in the paradigm, because of programming, and how people will go and sign up for almost abusive loans, and do not know who's really at the bank manager and who's lending it to them. But here it is with interest-free loans with almost make up your own terms. Very important. I mean, because that can't be taken. Once again, it's about the reasoning. This is all about balance. What makes sense? What's organic? Certain trees grow faster than others, and you would expect fruit from them sooner. I mean, this is business may not look at that. When it's at its worst, but good commerce is always looking at everything. Because you need the truth. You need truth by observation, what you're being reported to. But when you're working with facts, you can start counting on some things. When you're working on just projections that have all kinds of other fluff to support them, then things get silly quick. But still, we get back to the difference between what we don't ask of faceless people who usuriously lend us money, and what seems to be the demand for more information about somebody who does not want interest in asking you to bring up. I've known people go for loans and they want them to do ridiculous things. One person asked a person to quit their job. It was really crazy. And I think it might have even just been a prank on the loan officer's part. Some of them are a little bit sociopathic. So anyway, here we have a reverse of situations, and it just is odd behavior. That this is a gift, and the gift seems to not be seen. It's almost as if before we can accept the gift, we have to check you out, and that's not gift etiquette. I want to give you something, but first you want to do a background check on me before I give it to you. And or I just come with a really good good organic situation, and rather than two humans saying, okay, let's do this, we complicate matters. And then there's also some of the responses I feel, there's people who are experiencing desperation. No question about it. But then in the big picture, and we are looking at a global picture, you are also, at the same time that somebody's in desperate straits, typing from whatever device they have to contribute onto the internet, which would presuppose probably someplace, some kind of shelter, an internet connection, and a device. And being with the frequent posting of some of these people, it would seem that they're not at a library, barring that. But needless to say, libraries are heated. And then there's a world where 14,000 to 17,000 people die of starvation every 24 hours. And this has been going on for years. And then we have dumpsters that are, because homeless were eating from them, now have security guards so that the homeless can't eat out of dumpsters. So we actually live in a country where the people will pay security guards, actually, people who get weekly salaries, maybe even health benefits, to keep homeless people from eating food that they demand gets thrown out instead. So we have different levels. There are a lot of levels of desperation going on at the same time that you want to try to be aware of and respond to equally. And of course, a lot of that has to do with local organization. I mean, that's the whole thing about these, the business plans, is people who can really think big enough to catch enough people right away. And because this is the new bloodstream that will form the new muscles in the new body. A lot of even cities, the cities that have to be reconstructed from the top up, complete plan with people who live there, work nearby, and it has everything from business offices to, as you just go out a little bit further, where the agriculture is. I mean, all very traversable, bike, walkable, minor mass traffic. I mean, and everything in minutes. People 1 million, 2 million maybe tops. And that's quite a lot of people. I mean, there's still, in that many people, there'd be a lack of intimacy. 10,000 is actually the kind of a real community number. But I think there could be community groups within cities. So, I mean, this is, what we're doing here is visionary. And it's based on the vision that we have of what the world looks like. And being open to the funding that is available to do that, and being creative also, being creative, and apparently some people have trust issues, and these trust issues are kind of holding people back, it seems. Let me take a drink of water here. I mean, I had the notion, a lot of this seems to work on what our concepts of freedom are. I mean, I guess we all might agree probably that freedom might be the arrest of all the cabal. I don't know. I don't have anybody answer me here. But we know, those of us who are awake and are aware of that it's a problem, I hope we have, individually each have a solution. And it would be nice if those individual solutions looked a lot like each other, because that would make it give it a better chance of success. I was wondering, so getting the ideas together for a better chance of success. I'm going to have to just keep on moving. So we were at starvation. Pardon for that little glitch there. And there was, so freedom, the price of freedom. So if the rest of the cabal, was acceptable, okay. And but of course, do we have to arrest all of Congress? So even that's not simple. But would we say yes to it? For freedom, is that what's holding us back from freedom? Do we need is arresting all the cabal worldwide on the same day? Would that produce freedom? Would it? And if it did, would we all consent? And what if it was just? What if we're going to try to arrest all of them, but there could be problems? Would we demand that they be treated, that we have an investigation on any deaths before we say yes to the operation that would give us freedom? So, freedom is really about self-responsibility, And part of self-responsibility is to have a little bit of an idea of your environment, what you want it to look like, a little creation of your own reality, and making that reality kind of find out how that lines up with the consensus reality that we all create, but we all input to it from our individual reality. So what does freedom look like? Do you understand, how much you're willing to fight for your freedom? Would you fight for your freedom? Can your freedom be delivered? Can freedom be delivered? I'm not saying I have an answer. That's a question. Sovereignty, which to me goes together with freedom, because once you understand sovereignty, freedom is the only organic, real way to be. But the freedom of the sovereignty has all the responsibility, the integrity, and a big part of the conversation that I was having with the ambassador was the reason the world is a problem is the lack of integrity at every level. It's very easy, and it's very true, to say that in government they are crooked. It is psychopathically criminal. It is terrible. The thievery is beyond comprehension. Trillions, as far as overall in a year, the kind of theft that goes on, that just disappears, that could be in public programs, money that was intended to end up in public programs, ones that I guess are supposed to be proposed and then aren't, because the funding that was supposed to go to these proposed plans is a lot easier to hide if you don't bring it out. So the money, the Dragon family money that has moved in different ways through history and at different, I guess different pulses and different vitality. It has ever attempted to make things better, and it has almost always been screwed. And so, okay, we're aware of the screwing that goes on at the upper levels. It's a culture with the Kabbalah. It's really a culture, an ugly culture. Just it looks nice on the outside, though. So, but then we come back to us. Are we built of sterner stuff? And sadly, both of us, I've had much less opportunities to lend and be disappointed. The ambassadors had more opportunities to contribute to things that were supposed to go to one thing and didn't get there. The latest, the thing that he spoke of in the video was the family gave money to Africa, or I guess maybe to America, to take care of Ebola in Africa, to handle the Ebola emergency. They got doctors, whatever. We sent our military. And it'd be interesting to see what it cost to get the military there, what was given, and how much it cost the military, and what, wasn't unaccounted for. Don't want to start a real stink there. But that's a very recent thing. The Ebola, I guess it was last year or sometime. And so there's a real problem trying to help humanity. But like I said, on the personal level, I've had my own failings. Experience to me. I remember one time I owed somebody $500 that I needed to pay him by a certain time, and with my salary it'd be a little bit tricky. I guess I could have arranged in drips and drabs, but the job I had a federal credit, I had a credit union. I went and got a low-cost loan, got exactly the amount of money I owed him, paid him in one pop, and then just worked and had it taken out of my pay. It was painless. But that's not been my experience very much. And not that I don't know people who have honored things, but there just seems to be that, I don't know, when it comes down to money, there are a lot of choices that even the person asking for the money is in a certain kind of space and of sincerity. And then when possession of the money takes hold, sometimes there's other kinds of possessions that take hold also. And different voices get heard. And of course, what happens with those voices? Oh no, that's wrong. So then all of a sudden we start to create ways of, well, we could do this, but and it's a slippery slope. Anyway, so the one of the difficulties is, besides getting a plan, is just hoping that people will deliver. And of course, nobody's going to, you can't stop. There's either the elite, the cabal do it, or I would like to call our new elite that arise, who are capable of administering a new world at every, whatever that means, feeding people, moving people, housing people, enriching people, new culture. I mean, we have a culture that has forgotten. I mean, people might forget something like a ballet. Ballet is, I mean, the music alone is usually really good, and if you have good ballet, I mean, the costumes. I mean, it's something that I believe it would benefit a lot of communities, and with communities focusing on that, and with these developing new cities where all of the young people have various things to be a part of: bands, orchestras, drama clubs, ballet, modern dance, and then lots of trade areas. People who just enjoy wood, and for making crafts, not so much for labor, but just a whole new craft industry, much more custom work, because we can network with each other. So it was an interesting conversation because of how there is it seems to be a mindset that is from the old paradigm, and very much built in, that there might not ever be an opportunity like this to take care of myself, which is true. It might be very true. But there's never been an opportunity like this to move forward and do something that if everybody did what they were supposed to, a lot would be happening. Verbal commitments will often be expressions of our desires, what we'd like to see happen. And then once we are commissioned, it's a matter of will. And will and desire, well, I guess it depends, and then of course the integrity, the word you've given to, complete something, and what it means to you to be able to complete whatever it is you took on. And did you take on too much? Perhaps, and that wasn't, you overestimated yourself. The other time, sometimes you take on too much, but you figure it out. And sometimes when you call allies, oh my God, can you help me? And you do. You get allies, and you get educated by your allies, and you keep it moving. But it's a matter of how you view yourself. Are you really empowered? Do you want the freedom of having your integrity and your reputation as a person of excellence? These all figure into sovereignty. And sovereignty is also keeping boundaries, where you don't let people, part of being sovereign is you never get bullied in an emotional, verbal way. It's because it's impingement on your space, and there's no need to be nice, necessarily. I mean, you don't have to be completely harsh, but I mean, you demand, you keep the respect that you're supposed to get, and by being in integrity, you will have a lot of self-respect. If you're not in integrity, you could have a false self-respect, but it doesn't hold up any kind of pressure. Real self-respect just knows it. It can't be insulted. It can't be chipped away. People can't say things and make, it's like, you just, oh boy, you're jealous. It's often the answer. A little more water. So I just, my counsel for a lot of us is to look inside and find out, are we ready? Are we ready to align with the new vision? Do we have the vision clear enough? Do we have a lot of preconditions, emotional preconditions, in which we might call issues of trust, about being able to proceed even when it looks like what we want to do is here. And then it's really a matter of our own creativity and ability to organize whether or not we can take the funding and turn it into the new world. And so we're up at a real creative challenge, one of our integrity, because it's gonna take coming together, working together, rising higher above our base emotions by basing ourselves more on our heart, and understanding how important it is not to quit from finding how we integrate with everybody, including boundary issues. People, you can work with people that you understand it. Like, we're different critters, but if we're on the same team, I mean, maybe distance is good, but boy, we're working together. And even though, look, I love you, I really do. It's just, different styles. And a big part in the English-speaking world, which is the one I'm dealing with, is the Anglo-American banker alliance, and how that inhibits this organic network that wants to grow, because every inch of space, almost mental space now, especially with the politically correct stuff, but almost any place you want to move, you need a permit, an okay, a pay this, a pay that, or just an outright you can't do that because it's in competition with this. And there is going to be some competition, but I think, and also a lot of people, I think there should just be, since there's funding, there's also ways of looking at taking over what already exists, because you have all these people who know what they're doing, managers and whatever, and then I'm quite sure you have a very well-paid section of these companies that are not bringing true value, and rearranging how much management is required to get basic jobs done, and not lots of bloat and whatever. And also, a lot of times the people at the top, their main reason that they're there is because they're the ones with the access to liquidity. So you might be it could run fine, but who's going to make sure the money gets into the bank and blah blah blah. So once but in a different world, that liquidity and that hookup is much more organic and is capable to anybody who's a capable manager, and that cuts out all the high paid. I have access to liquidity and you don't, so you get paid a little, I get paid a lot. And then the people who are accessing the liquidity through their skills, the people under them, well, that's I would went to business plans. What you're paying those people, how well you're paying those people is definitely looked at. This, in the old days, was how little could you pay people that please people. That is that's a different mindset. This is what's reasonable, and especially how much more there can be for people who are more in the production area, when you don't have a lot of unproductive people getting paid more than they get paid. So equaling things out, once you fix the system, the true abundance of what an organic world is will become very apparent, and it will be paradise. And that was one of the things Ambassador brought up, is one of the tricks that the part of reality that is always testing our fabric. One of the tricks that can play with us psychologically is making hell look like paradise and making paradise look like hell. And so with what I've said, in the last 30 minutes, that's something to look at, whether or not paradise, true paradise, is looking like hell. And meanwhile, most people seem to speak as if they're in hell. But does that hell look like paradise when paradise looks like hell? So I think I'm going to leave it there. All right, so I saw a video a couple of days ago, and I guess somebody had tapped into some of my videos, I guess some of Ron's videos, and was tapping just on my character and dragons and stuff. He looked to me like he had a good buzz, and a hair across his ass, and I think there was 15 replies under his video that were all his own replies. But anyway, he was. I watched it because he was a kind of a character. I have no animosity, even though he commented that my skin was so perfect or something. So he gave some kudos that obviously I ate well. But there was almost like a thing of, and he had a little something on his head. Looked like he might have had some contact with another human being. And he was kind of like, oh yeah, my skin, but it looks like I'd never, really been in any kind of scuffles. And I guess he never really looked at my nose. But it was just interesting to experience that from this person. And, I probably brought it up for a reason, and then speaking about him, so I should probably just close up. Oh, yeah, that's right, he was doing that's right. He was getting me, all this fake piety. And this is a power, this is the thing where I bring my palm chakras together. It feels very natural. Maybe it's a program that feels comfortable with me, just like, working with Windows, certain things I like. And, but it was almost like it was goofy, I don't know, but I said, oh, really? Okay. So he thinks it's goofy, and I don't hold it against him at all. But I like it. So, before all else, I see the God within you. God bless. Be well.